Good evening, Bay County and the Panhandle. Welcome back to Eating the Elephant, our series here on Facebook Live with insurance and recovery tips following Hurricane Michael. We've got quite a bit to talk about tonight. I'm going to go single subject more or less this evening, and I hope this will be helpful to you. It'll be a little longer format maybe than you're used to having, but we've got some information that I think really needs to come out, and we've seen some things in publications to sort of back up some things that we've been telling you for quite some time. One of the things that I've been telling people on Facebook and in person is to do your homework. We've talked about educate, advocate, escalate, and mediate, and the education piece, it just is the single most important part. Everyone is learning new things. There are so many people that are very confused by this whole process, that are panicky, and I think it's very, very important that you guys remember the educate piece. That's the very first part. Let's consider that like breakfast. It's the most important meal of the day. So educate yourself. And I'm going to give you a couple of sort of freebies here. I'm going to quote from some articles that I found in our local newspaper today at the Panama City News Herald. So I would encourage you to go do your own looking around. And I'm going to start posting very specific articles and quoting other people on Facebook and trying to push those out there so people have better information. The first thing I want to say before we get into the meat of the subject that I want to talk about tonight is before you go out and hire someone very expensive, whether it's a public adjuster or attorney or some sort of consultant, be aware that if you're having some trouble and your wheels are in the ditch with your insurance company or your adjuster, there are free options to get you out of the ditch before you go and pay someone a pretty substantial fee. The first one would be call the Department of Financial Services, the Department of Insurance that regulates insurance companies, and they have free services they can offer you. They can offer you advice. They can offer you a free mediation service if you feel like you're not being treated fairly. And the phone number for that is 877-MY-FL-CFO, CFO being the Chief Financial Officer, Jimmy Patronis. We have heard some folks say that there is a problem on occasion with that 877 number being overloaded. So an alternate number is 850-413-3089. I'll repeat that again at the end of the broadcast, but it's 850-413-3089. You have to remember that insurance regulators I would say, are not a friend of the insurance industry. They're charged with regulating that industry, and they have to approve rates, they have to approve forms, and it is their job to be the watchdog for insurance companies. And they have the power of enforcement. These people often wear badges, and they can make an insurance company move and do some things that an agent or an adjuster or a public adjuster or attorney can't do. The power of enforcement is very, very powerful stuff, and so I would call on them, and you're already paying for them with your tax dollars. So I would encourage you to do that. Another free service that I'm going to pitch again is our free help desk for the public. We've had lots and lots of people that are not our clients come by our office. We've never asked for a thing in return. We don't ask them to sign contracts. I don't ask them when their policy expires so we can renew it. Nothing like that. All we want to do is help people because we're all pulling on the same rope in the same direction in a tug of war against the hurricane. And so if you want to have a free help desk appointment, if you'll send a text message to 850-273-9356, we'll set you up with a licensed agent. They can give you some advice. You don't even have to tell us your real name. Just tell us your problem, and maybe we can help you sort of be guided out of it. Because what we are finding is a lot of people, they're really not in as much trouble as they think they are, but they're very confused, and they don't understand the process, they don't understand the language, and maybe their adjuster or someone else in the insurance food chain is not communicating very well. And if you go a couple of weeks without contact, you get very, very nervous. I know that I certainly do, and I know the system. So that's another free service. And if you don't want to call us for whatever reason you think that we have a dog in this fight, again, you can go back to the state. You can call Jimmy Patronis' office, and we've talked to a number of his people, and they've been very helpful to some folks that we've met at the help desk. And I will tell you, they have been very, very effective in pursuing relief for consumers that don't feel like they're being treated fairly by their insurance company. Tonight, I want to dedicate almost entirely to AOB, or assignment of benefits. We've gotten way too many things. I'm seeing way too much bad advice on Facebook. I'm seeing way too many people just get themselves in real trouble. AOB, signing an AOB agreement is about the only mistake you can make that you can't really come back from. If you have a bad first experience with an adjuster, that's something we can fix. If you feel like you got a lowball bid from your insurance company early on, again, that's something that's usually easily remedied. But when you sign an assignment of benefits, you're stuck with it. Even if you sign an agreement with a public adjuster, you have 5 days to rescind that agreement if you sort of feel like you've made a mistake or maybe you don't need their help. An assignment of benefits is cast in concrete. That is a legal binding contract that sticks you with that contractor, and that contractor's name will appear on your checks from that point forward in most cases. So I'm very concerned about this, and it's become a much, much bigger issue than I thought it would be. I want us to think about normal times. This is certainly not normal times, but let's think about normal times in Bay County. Most of us have hired a contractor to do something at our home before. If you haven't, well, fair enough, but there's not a single local contractor in my memory, and I've been back in town more than 20 years, that's ever required an assignment of benefits form, ever. No one. No, I've had roofs put on, I've had homes built, I've had offices renovated. I've never been required to sign an assignment of benefits form in order to get those things done. Nor have those people ever had difficulty getting paid. I've done this with insurance claims, I've done it without insurance claims, and the contractors have never had an issue. I'm not saying there's never a contractor in town that's ever gotten stiffed for payment, but the proper remedy for that is the contractor can file a mechanics lien against the property. If you don't pay someone that does work on your home, they can file a lien against your property. And once they do that, your property's frozen. You can't sell it, you can't refinance it, you're stuck. So that's a very, very powerful tool that contractors have. And it's not terribly expensive. There's some filing fees involved, but overall, it's not a real big deal. And with all the work that we've seen done, I just don't see an awful lot of mechanics liens being at issue. So it seems to me that this assignment of benefits issue really just comes to bizarro world where we are now. And I think that's important. Contractors can still get paid. However, once you sign an assignment of benefits, the contractor absolutely can still get paid, but it doesn't mean that they still can't file a mechanics lien on your home. So you're kind of in the worst of both possible worlds. So that's certainly a concern. And you get another sort of phrase from contractors often that are insisting on these assignments of benefits that, well, we'll just take what your insurance company is willing to pay, as if they're very innocent, naive little sheep in this process, and it's just not the case. They don't just sit back and accept whatever was on that first sheet. What they do is they inflate their prices in some cases. Sometimes they're very fair. I'm not going to say that every single assignment of benefits contractor is dishonest or is inflating their prices, but it certainly gives them the opportunity to do so. And when they send that inflated bill, as an example, we did talk about an $18,000 TARP bill from Nationwide Roofing, which was under an assignment of benefits. Now, fortunately, Nationwide Roofing's attorney let us know that was it was a mistake, it was a billing error, but what if it wasn't? That is $18,000 very well might have been paid by the insurance company. The problem that I have with assignment of benefits is twofold. First of all, the contractor really doesn't care about you or your house. The contractor cares about doing work and being paid for that work. Now, if they go in and they tear out the first 4 feet of your sheetrock in your entire house and they get paid for that, well, good for them. But what happens is if they spend most of your insurance money and you begin to run out of insurance, you get very close to your limit, and they spend most of that money on themselves, what are you going to do as a homeowner to get the thing rebuilt? And I think that's certainly a significant concern. What I would say is do your homework. If you don't trust me, I'm some random guy on Facebook, do your homework. Google AOB abuse or assignment of benefits abuse. Go to the CFO's website. Jimmy Petronas, the CFO, is the regulator in charge of insurance, and he has spoken out repeatedly and forcefully about the abuse of assignment of benefits provisions. And so look at these things. Don't simply trust the first guy that walks up to your door that says he can put on your roof and pokes an assignment of benefits contract in your face. Do your homework. Remember, the first stage is educate. Educate yourself. So I want to relate a couple of things. I got some real nasty stuff last night on Facebook via private message and things like that about my criticism of assignment of benefits. Where are you getting your information? They're questioning my integrity about this. So I picked up the News Herald today when I went to Quorum's for lunch, and I flipped it open, and I saw two things of immediate interest, both of which are about assignment of benefits, and they're here in our town. One was a story by Jim Saunders, and he's talking about Citizens Property Insurance Company, who I think most of us are familiar with, and they're filing for a rate hike of about 8% and some change. And here's a couple of the things that they said. In backup materials sent Monday to reporters, Citizens blamed water damage claims and the controversial practice known as assignment of benefits. It goes on to say a little bit later, assignment of benefits, or AOB, as it is known, is perhaps the most controversial insurance issue in the state capital today. Under assignment of benefits, homeowners sign over their insurance claims to contractors who then pursue payments from insurance companies. This is very true. And if they all behaved well, just as if all insurance companies behaved well, then it wouldn't be a problem. But when they inflate those prices and then they sue everyone involved, it becomes a problem. There was a second issue, again, in today's newspaper. It's not like I had to go very far to find this information, the letters to the editor. Steve Podklask, or Podsiask, I'm sorry, my copy's a little bit blurry. He is the CEO for a nonprofit called the American Consumer Institute. American Consumer Institute does not sound to me like a very insurance-friendly group as a rule. It sounds like a consumer-friendly group. And he says, among a lot of his commentary, insurers and consumer groups have spent years urging the Florida legislature to curb AOB abuse. So far, trial attorneys' lobbies and lobbying efforts have derailed every reform attempt. That is, insurers and consumer groups. The people that protect consumers of insurance are having a problem with AOB abuse. It also goes on to say that once the homeowner signs the AOB, the repair company can now essentially do whatever it wants as it has control of the insurance of the homeowner's insurance policy. A leaky faucet could turn into an entire kitchen being ripped out and replaced and then billed to your insurance. AOB abuse is rampant. Last year, Florida's spiraling insurance premiums and dysfunctional legal environment earned the state the dubious distinction of being the nation's worst judicial hellhole. Those are his words, not mine. AOB litigation has skyrocketed by 90,000% since 2000. 90,000%. That's a 90, a comma, and 3 more zeros. 90,000% since 2000. Nothing else has increased at that rate. The reason it's increased at that rate is because it's exceptionally profitable for the contractors, public adjusters, and attorneys that are involved in these processes. They can grossly inflate their bills under this provision of the law, and they can get paid an exceptional amount of money. So what I would say is, it seems exceptionally suspect to me. I've done a good bit of research. I'm not asking you to trust me for this one. I'm asking you to do your own homework. And at that point, if you sign an assignment of benefits clause, well, then it's up to you, your big boys and big girls out there in hurricane land. And what I would say to you is, once you sign it, at least you've done so knowing some information, and you're well informed now. I was criticized by the attorney for Nationwide Roofing, suggesting that my criticism of assignment of benefits impaired their ability to get work, that they couldn't get work if no one would sign an assignment of benefits clause. What I would say to that, honestly, is if you're a roofer in this town right now and you can't get work, I wonder how good of a roofer you are. I'm not suggesting that Nationwide Roofing is not a good roofing company because, again, they've assured us that bill was an error. It was erroneous, I think is the word the attorney gave us. But an assignment of benefits is not necessary. It benefits only one person, and that's the contractor. It does not benefit the homeowner. What you are doing, let's be very, very clear. If you sign an assignment of benefits, you are taking your policy and all of the rights under that policy that you have paid for and that you've trusted the insurance company to protect you, and you hand that policy to the contractor and you give it to them. And you can't both have it now. It now belongs to them. And now you're no longer protected by that insurance policy. So my question of all of you out there in hurricane land is this. Most of these contractors will be gone in 90 days, maybe 6 months. Some will stay a little bit longer than that. But every single one of those people, when they go back to South Florida or North Georgia or Tennessee or wherever they're from, think about it this way. If you signed an assignment of benefits, they take your policy with them. Out of town, out of your sight, out of your ability to influence them whatsoever. So I think it's very important that you hold on very tight to that policy and to the rights that are associated with that. And we'll talk more about some of the rights that are associated with your policy in future broadcasts, but it's a little bit too much to add to this one tonight. So I want to close once more with a couple of numbers for those of you that I mentioned earlier. I'm sorry, I got a little off track. Again, before you sign these things and before you sign over your rights to either a contract or a public adjuster or anyone else that wants a fee from you, I want you to think about your free options first. Your first and best option, if you are just completely lost and you're completely stuck in the mud, call the insurance regular for the state of Florida, Jimmy Petronas. His office number is 877-MY-FL-CFO or 850-413-3089. If you need a little bit of help and you don't feel like you need to go quite that way yet, but you're just concerned about process, you're not exactly sure how this works, and you don't know what to do now that you haven't heard from your adjuster in a couple of weeks, you're welcome to text our office, our public help desk, for people that are not our clients, 850-273-9356. We'll never ask you for a dime. We'll never ask you to sign a contract. I won't even ask to write your insurance. So bear in mind, you have free options available to you through many, many different sources. I'm going to close by saying, for those of you, obviously, if you're here, you're on Facebook, be very judicious in the advice you take. There's an awful lot of folks out there that are looking to take advantage of the situation, and if you suggest that you have an issue or have a problem, a lot of people will jump on that, and they'll be very, very happy to help you for a fee. So be very, very careful of those that are out there just trolling for business and don't maybe really want to help you and are less interested in helping our community recover and are more interested in their own pocketbooks. I'm sorry about the rant tonight. It certainly feels better to having gotten it off my chest, and we'll do our very best. If you have any questions, please let us know, but we'll see you on Sunday. Thanks very much. Be careful out there.